As we mentioned, that fourth inquest is expected to hand down its findings today into the death of Azaria Chamberlain more than 30 years ago. Azaria's parents have always maintained she was taken by a dingo.
Tony Eastley is the presenter of the ABC's AM program, and he's covered the case for the last 3 decades, as we've mentioned, and he joins us now from Darwin. Good morning. This is the fourth inquest. How is it different from the previous 3?
Well, we don't really know yet, Karina, but basically this inquest will look at what happened to Azaria on that night in 1980, and I think it will revisit almost like the first inquest, where Mr Barrett, the coroner, found that primarily a dingo was responsible for Azaria's death. He did find at that stage, though, that there had been some human element involved. That first inquest, where the dingo was pinned with the crime, if you like, was later overturned by a second inquest, which then found that the Chamberlains had a case to answer, and then there was the trial in 1980, which found Lindy Chamberlain guilty of murder and a husband of a lesser charge. So this inquest is something completely new, and another chapter, though, in this saga that has dragged on since August 1980.
Tony, how unusual is it for an inquest to open and hand down its findings on the same day?
Look, I don't think, Karina, that this will be handed down on the same day. I think the coroner will hear the evidence today. I don't think the evidence is going to be all that long. Yesterday I spoke to Stuart Tipple, who is was the junior counsel in those days in 1982 when the trial was held here in Darwin, which we covered from go to woe for 6 weeks or more. He seems to think that the evidence on dingo attacks around Australia will be presented to the coroner this morning, just across the road from here at the ABC. The Magistrates Court is just across the road. The evidence will be heard, considered, and then there will be a written reply or a written decision by the coroner, and that may well be a couple of days, could be a week or two before that decision is handed down. What Stuart Tipple and that defence team for the Chamberlains want, and what indeed Lindy and Michael Chamberlain want, is for that death certificate on Azaria Chamberlain's death certificate to say a dingo did it. At the moment, her death certificate still gives an open finding to her death.
And obviously some closure that they'd like there. They've arrived in Darwin. Have they made any public comment?
No, not really. They were on the same plane as me, and basically at the airport she said that she was happy to be here. Indeed, they really want to see an end to this saga, and my word, what a saga it has been. You know, Lindy Chamberlain exonerated by the Royal Commission, her charges quashed after that Royal Commission. She did more than 3 years in Berrima Prison in Darwin. She had a child there, a daughter. She told visiting reporters at Darwin Airport that she wants to put it behind her, but she also wants, and this is very important, she always wants that for the dingo to be fingered for this crime, so other people around Australia know full well that dingoes are dangerous, they can be killers, and for this to happen to not another child anywhere in Australia ever again.
So Tony, then how crucial is that new evidence that there have been these spate of dingo attacks in Queensland on Fraser Island?
Oh, well, absolutely crucial. I mean, without that, they won't have a case. This inquest really they were invited to this inquest by the law people in Darwin. It's absolutely crucial. Without the other dingo attacks, it will be lost. But the dingo attacks have been documented. They've been reasonably well publicised. It'll be up to the coroner to find, though, whether in all good evidentiary sort of work, was the dingo responsible for taking Azaria Chamberlain, 9 weeks old, from a campsite in Uluru back in 1980.
Tony Eastley, thank you very much for joining us from Darwin this morning.
It's a pleasure.